OZombie is definitely an experience. A movie about Osama bin Laden as a zombie is definitely not a movie that I ever thought would be made for pretty obvious reasons, but the 2010s were a crazy time when it came to movies. I mean, we got the first Avengers movie, Inception, and Food Fight. What a wonderful time for the film industry. But a movie where the American army hunt down a zombified version of such a universally hated figure such as Osama bin Laden is such an outlandish idea for a film that I had no idea what to expect going in when I first watched it. Now, I need to preface this review with a massive, massive disclaimer. I'm not going to be talking about politics, religion, or really just bin Laden as an actual person in the real world in this review. My goal isn't to comment on the political messaging in this movie and indulge in a serious analysis of the meaning behind it. My goal is to laugh at a silly zombie movie, and I hope that that's what you guys are also here for. If you want a more political take, then I'm sure there are other channels that would probably be happy to go into that side of this movie, but that's just not me. So let's just keep it chill in the comments as well, okay? Just sit back, relax, and laugh at the stupid zombie movie with me. Okay, so, hi, I'm Misa, and I love bad movies. And not only do I love watching bad movies, but I like talking about them and getting other people to watch them since I enjoy making people watch the stupid shit that I like. Hence, why I'm making this video. And today, I'm going to be talking about OZombie, a movie that I've actually owned for a really long time now, and I've watched a few times as well. And I've always come away from my watches of this movie feeling pretty entertained, I can't lie. Also, just a fun fact, but not long ago, my husband and I were out with one of his old friends from school, and we were talking about bad movies, specifically this one, since all I seem to talk about when I meet new people anymore is Kingdom Hearts and bad movies. I have a really, really bad hyperfixation issue. And our waiter at the pub that we were eating in said that he loves this film and he thinks that it's great. To which my husband and I were just kind of shocked that anyone else except for us and our small circle of friends who enjoy bad movies had even heard of this film, let alone seen it. Just a funny thing that happened pretty recently, and it's actually why I decided to rewatch this movie. So you can thank that random waiter for this review. So let's get started. And as always, spoiler warning for the entire film. Also, I guess trigger warning for mention/acts of terrorism, but if you couldn't have guessed that that would be in this movie based on the title, then I don't really know what to tell you. So one thing that's very noticeable about this movie right off the bat is that the cinematography isn't actually that bad, and it looks pretty competent. I mean, at least compared to the other movies that I've covered on this channel. Like, I was shocked that the establishing shots weren't just stock footage or terrible pre-made CGI assets or something. But I think that's probably a product of me watching so many terrible movies in my life that my standards for these kind of films has just plummeted over time. I mean, some of the scenes that involve helicopters don't look great, but it's definitely better than something like Clownado in terms of visuals. So the movie begins with an explanation as to how bin Laden actually became a zombie in the first place. Essentially, the American army invade a place in Afghanistan where, weirdly, a bunch of native zombies are being held. And bin Laden himself willingly takes a substance that turns him into a zombie when he realizes that the troops are closing in. Now, I know that there are some pieces of media about zombies that try to act as though zombies don't exist in that story's universe. Take, for say, The Walking Dead, which explicitly states that there's no zombie media in that franchise. So this gives the characters an excuse to act like blundering morons when the zombies attack them for the first time, because they've got no clue what zombies actually are. So the first instinct for them isn't to go for the head or anything that a normal person in the real world would do if they saw a real-life zombie, right? But in this film, it's very clear later on in the story that zombie media is a thing, and people know what zombies are. I mean, one of the characters even mentions Call of Duty, which obviously has a zombie mode in it.
Thank you, Call of Duty.
So the fact that these soldiers see obvious zombies and decide not to shoot a lot of them in the head initially, don't take care of their friend who gets bitten by one, and doesn't shoot the zombified bin Laden in the head is kind of baffling to me. But basically, they catch bin Laden, who's been turned, attempt to transfer his body via helicopter, but as I mentioned, one of their friends is bitten, so obviously he turns when they're in the air, chaos erupts on board, and bin Laden's body is dropped into the ocean, only for him to rise again and head to shore. Now, I can't lie to you, that's a really strong opener. I actually really like this opening scene a lot. It establishes the plot very well, there's a lot of action, it's just a fun opener, and it wasn't boring. A lot of time with bad movies, the opening is usually quite dull when it comes to establishing why the main conflict is going on, but this one does it really, really well. However, once the main cast of characters is introduced, is where the more silly aspects of the movie begins. I know, right? Osama bin Laden being reincarnated as a zombie and terrorizing the American army isn't the most silly aspect of this film. So, a NATO group of soldiers are in Afghanistan after the zombie outbreak begins, and these characters are interesting, but not in a good way. None of them use their real names, only strange nicknames, and they all have quite generic character types. None of them really act like people, just characters in an action film to help further the plot. And I mean, most of them die anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Also, I'm not going to be referring to them by their movie names because I refuse to call someone Tomboy or Joker in a serious way throughout this review. Plus, I don't remember half of their stupid nicknames anyway, and I cannot be asked to go and check what they are on IMDb. So, we have man who constantly takes his shirt off, despite the fact that taking your shirt off when you're fighting a zombie is the dumbest thing that you could do, since you're more likely to get bitten or scratched. But he has nice abs, so I'm not really complaining. We have girl who uses a sword and is considered a tomboy, despite her being one of the most feminine women I have ever seen in my entire life. And that's not a slight to her or anything, she is insanely pretty. But like, the only masculine things about her character is that she wears trousers and she can use a gun well. But she's a soldier, so of course she would have both of those qualities. It doesn't make her a tomboy. We also have Blonde Man, who's basically just a generic army dude and doesn't really do a lot throughout the film. We have Man who makes unfunny puns and tells unfunny jokes in every scene that he's in.
What do you call a guy with no legs? No arms.
What?
Matt.
We have Man who's a bit of a dick for no reason to people. Like, seriously, he's just randomly a massive cockhead under the guise of being a good soldier or some shit.
At least you're not dragging around a civilian chick with a mullet looking for her retarded brother.
We have the one who dies very quickly.
Ah, this sucks.
We have the other one who dies very quickly. And the only one who I'll be calling by his nickname, DC, because he has it for a very funny reason, which I will explain later. So, they fight some zombies, and we can see that the blood effects are not great. Seems like whenever CG's involved in this film, the effects are just, not very good. But one of the guys during this scene gets taken out.
Ah, this sucks.
That's your reaction to dying? Seriously? He sounded so unbothered. So after their friend dies, they pause to discuss what to do next when... Wow, for being talented fighters and soldiers, you guys sure do suck at being able to hear zombies a few feet away from you. So obviously, because their friend is bitten, they want to kill him before he can turn, but literally none of them except the girl character are willing to do this.
DC Chip, I'm thinking a number between 1 and 100.
Sorry, man. I'm only killing the undead right now, buddy.
What? You're a soldier, dude. When you joined the army and were deployed to Afghanistan, did they not warn you that you might need to kill some people who weren't zombies? What a weird response for an army dude to give. After this, we're introduced to Dusty, who's out here looking for her, frankly, idiotic brother who's gone looking for Bin Laden because he's convinced he's alive.
Help me, my friend's been hurt. He's healing. Oh! I thought you were...
This woman sucks. She is so bad with this gun. Luckily though, she's saved by the NATO group, and thank God, because she was not lasting much longer without them. I mean, seriously, she's traveling in a dangerous country with a gun, and she can barely use it. I mean, even if you didn't know that zombies were here, which to be fair, she didn't, your brother is trying to hunt down a world-renowned terrorist, and when you go looking for him, you don't think it's a good idea to maybe learn how to use the gun properly or be prepared to kill somebody?
Oh, nothing.
I don't want to be a party pooper since watching two hot shirtless men fighting is, it's pretty fun, but is there really time for this?
If it's anything like Facebook, it'll be in Panama by next week.
I love Facebook.
I love Facebook is such a dated line. You can clearly tell that this movie was made in 2012. So it was around now that I started wondering who these actors actually were, since I thought that Dusty's actress looked a lot like Angelina Jolie. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I wondered what else she'd been in. I was just curious. And that was when I discovered that the actress who plays the blonde woman also played Thing 1 in the Cat in the Hat movie. Yeah. And when I told my group chat, this was my husband's response, which I thought was pretty funny. So following the brother's mission, he finds a child who he helps, which is really nice of him, but he very irresponsibly sends this kid to his family without checking that they were zombies first. Like, with the way that this scene was shot, I thought that there was going to be a jump scare of them turning around and being zombies and getting the kid. Like, how fucking irresponsible of you to send him towards strangers when you know there are zombies about. Back to the NATO group, the blonde dude gets bit, and this happens.
I was supposed to have your babies.
That dude literally said what the audience was thinking, because legit, this relationship was not established earlier on. Like, she smacked him on the ass once, but it was implied to be an, oh, she's one of the boys moment. You know what I mean? Okay, I've got to admit, this scene is actually decently shot and it's pretty cool, but it's extremely out of place. Like, it just happens and then she rejoins the group like nothing happened. Like, it goes on for so long and the guy dying doesn't really come up that much during the rest of the film. But anyway, it's figured out that the soldiers in Afghanistan are recruiting people who are willing to become zombies for their cause, which is partly why there are so many zombies around and why so many of them are civilian zombies rather than soldiers. And then DC tells us that he's called DC because he went through a very messy divorce in divorce court.
My name is Ryan Parker. DC has nothing to do with my initials.
What's DC?
Well, my best friend called me that after I spent a year in divorce court.
Which I have to say, if his friends came up with that nickname for him, that is fucking diabolical. But unfortunately, he gets injured and he eventually dies. Maybe it's just because I've watched so many bad movies, but the acting in this is actually pretty okay, all things considered. Like, this isn't like Leonardo DiCaprio levels of acting, but it's pretty decent. Okay, this dream sequence is fucking hilarious. So this is something that I really don't get about Dusty's brother's character. So he wants to kill Bin Laden because he thinks it'll protect his sister. But first of all, in this movie, despite him being a zombie, Bin Laden being alive is a conspiracy theory with no real evidence to back it up. I mean, it turns out that he is kind of alive because, you know, he's a zombie, but still. But secondly, even if Bin Laden is alive, if you and your sister just stay in America, it's not like he's gonna come and find you two specifically and kill you. He doesn't fucking know you both. Like, I don't know if this guy is suffering from main character syndrome or something, but it's very, very fucking unlikely that Bin Laden is gonna go after two random American people. Especially two people that have never interacted with him ever and aren't involved in, like, major political functions or even the army. And the thing is, too, is other people are gonna continue his work because they believe in what he talks about, right? And I don't want to bring real-world politics into this, but we've seen that just because one political figure dies doesn't mean that people aren't going to continue their work. So terrorist attacks will probably still happen in the US in this movie's universe, even with Bin Laden gone. Plus, the zombie virus is still at large, so killing one zombie or person isn't going to do anything to resolve the international conflict going on or the potential zombie apocalypse that could happen. Like, Bin Laden isn't a super zombie or anything, he's just a regular zombie, so why would killing him stop anything or protect anyone from a bigger issue? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. So the movie's finale's coming up, and basically the remaining crew go to a camp full of caged zombies. and they decide to release them and allow them to attack the soldiers around them. Oh, I should have also mentioned that the brother ends up meeting up with the group, but to be honest, it wasn't that exciting of a scene. I actually kind of forgot about it when writing the script. Shirtless man Dusty and Dusty's brother end up going into a cave and they find this.
Yes, OZombie.
You know, the idea of a zombie bin Laden being kept on chains is really funny to me, and I'm not sure why. Also, he's really close to the guys next to him. Why is he not biting them? So anyway, zombies attack the cave. The guys run, but the stupid brother goes back specifically to kill bin Laden because he's fucking obsessed with the dude. And meanwhile, outside, the guy who makes jokes unfortunately croaks. Why is she more upset at this death than the dude she literally wanted to carry the children of? These two didn't even interact that much during this movie. What the fuck? Mate, you're not shooting anything. You're not actually shooting anything. None of the zombies are being hit. So Dusty's brother manages to explode the cave and an airstrike hits the area while the guys are running away. So, you know, you'd assume that he's dead, right?
You have got to be kidding me.
How in the fuck did he survive a cave exploding and an airstrike? You know what? You know what? This is OZombie. I'm not gonna ask. And that's how it ends, folks. No end twist, no after credit scene. That's it. We have no idea whether the zombie virus was completely contained or not, but whatever, these guys are American, so it's not their problem anymore. Okay, that is my one semi-political joke throughout the entire video. Please don't hate me. OZombie is actually really entertaining. I had a lot of fun rewatching this one for this review. In a lot of ways, it feels more like a regular movie with more negative elements than a bad movie with fun elements, if that makes sense. But the more negative elements of the film don't make it any less fun to watch. The bad blood effects aren't too big of a deal when the fight scenes have pretty decent choreography. I mean, you know, for a low-budget film, I have seen way worse anyway. I did also find a lot of the more jokey scenes actually pretty funny, even if they weren't too frequent. And even though the characters are pretty flat and one note, it's not a movie where I particularly care about the characters, to be honest. They're just here to kill zombies, and some of them are literally just there to be killed by zombies. This would usually be a negative for me when it comes to regular films, but for bad films, as long as the characters aren't annoying, I'm not too fussed if they're one-dimensional. My standards aren't that high when it comes to these kinds of films. And the thing is, even though the characters weren't that interesting, they were still entertaining to watch. And that's all I can really ask for from a movie called OZombie. Like I've said before, the worst that I can experience with a bad movie is it being boring, and this definitely wasn't boring. It did slow down a little in the middle, but they're still constantly killing zombies on average every 5 to 10 minutes, so I wasn't ever bored. So the real question is, where would I rank this movie? In case you guys didn't know, I've got a tier list for movies I review on this channel. I mean, the ranks I hope are pretty self-explanatory. And while I did enjoy the movie a lot, I can't lie, I don't think I can rank it in iconic. I think the fact that it was pretty competently made in terms of cinematography, acting, for some characters anyway.
This sucks.
And the way that the story is structured makes it not really a bad movie in the normal sense that we would consider a bad movie a bad movie. Like, The Snarling was obviously a bad movie. It was made for peanuts, but it made up for it by being hilarious. And Clownado is a movie that I am still convinced is a tax write-off. But the one thing that these two movies have in common is that they were clearly aware of how badly they were made. OZombie seems to have wanted to be better than it actually turned out to be, which, I don't know, makes me not as inclined to rank it higher, if that makes sense. At the end of the day, it was just a relatively by-the-book zombie movie with less of a budget, and Bin Laden was obviously the hook, but he was barely in it. I don't think it's worse than Clownado by any means, but in terms of enjoyment, I did actually prefer The Snarling, and I really don't think that it would be fair to rank OZombie above it. I do love zombie movies, but I genuinely think that if this had a higher budget and wasn't based around the stupid premise it has, it wouldn't have been as entertaining. I mean, if you take out the opening scene and the ending scene with Bin Laden, this was just a regular zombie movie, with a little bit of terrorism sprinkled in there. So I've decided that I'm going to rank it just below the snarling in so bad that it's good. It's fun, and I would recommend it, but the snarling just entertained me more. It's a completely subjective thing, I just prefer the snarling as a film. It might be partly because a movie like OZombie would usually be seen as a potential comedy, but the comedy wasn't that frequent. It was there, it just didn't pop up as much. The movie in a way seemed like it was taking itself a little bit too seriously for my liking. So, if you disagree with me or you think I'm being unfair, then just let me know in the comments. I really like open discussions, especially about movies, so just let me know what you think. And also, if you have any other bad movies in mind that you would like for me to review, then let me know down below, or you can tweet at me. The link to my Twitter/X and Blue Sky accounts, as well as my Patreon, are in the description. Which, speaking of, thank you to my patron, Rob Slide. Also, I hope you guys have noticed, but I have upgraded my mic. I invested the money. I unfortunately don't have a lot of funds at the moment because, like I've said on post before, I've just gotten married and come back from my honeymoon. I've just upgraded my PC. So I don't have a lot of funds right now, but I knew the audio in the previous two videos wasn't great, so I decided to get a new mic. And I hope it sounds significantly better than the other two videos did. I always say too, if there's any constructive criticisms that you guys want to give, then I'm happy to accept those in the comments below as well. Hopefully the audio thing won't be as much of a problem, but if there's anything else that you think I need to improve on, then just let me know. I'm always happy to take constructive criticisms because I want to make my videos as good as I can with the tools that I have. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I am very bad at outros, so I will see you all in the next one, I guess. Bye!